Hi guys, how is everybody doing? So first of all, please let me say I am so sorry for this long delay between releasing this video. I have been super busy with my new job, with my legal nurse consulting job. In June, I was still working ambulance full time, and my legal nurse consulting business. I've been going to a lot of defense medical exams with plaintiffs and writing reports for the plaintiff attorneys. So basically, I don't even have days off anymore. So I have been so busy, and I'm so sorry. I feel guilty because I promised a lot of people, and I know people have been waiting for this video. So there's a lot of information that I want to present today. And so I might even need to break this video in two parts because as I was preparing for this video, I realized how much information that I want to relay to everybody. So this information today that I'm going to present to you is extremely important, and it's a eye opener for me. It's a life changer for me, and I know it's going to be for you. And I know it's going to help those parents with autistic children, and I know it's going to help parents with who are considering more children in the future. So there's some stuff that I'm going to discuss today that I didn't even know about until I started reading these books and that Dr. Kobinia recommended for us. Dr. Kobinia, again, is a doctor who did a stem cell transplant in Vienna, Austria, in February of this year. So it's been about 6 months since Slava had his stem cell transplant. So I'm going to talk about his progress in just a minute, just to update you on what's going on. I know I haven't posted anything, and again, I apologize deeply. I have been just so busy. I seriously have no days off. Anyway, using this opportunity really fast, I just wanted to ask you, for those of you who know any attorneys who litigate medical related cases, to please send them my way or me them their way. So I really appreciate the referral. Anyway, so moving forward, let's see what we're gonna talk about today. So I have a cheat sheet, over the camera. So just so you know, why I'm looking up there, I'm reading what I wrote for myself, so that I don't get distracted, because I get distracted really easy, especially if I have a lot of information. I'm kind of like, whoa, all over the place. My brain. All right. So anyway, so I'm gonna talk about Dr. Kobinia's recommendations regarding supplements that reduce inflammation, as I promised to you. Also, I want to talk about aluminum and its toxicity and its neural cell damage, and also I'm going to talk about glyphosate, active ingredient in Roundup, the major weed killer. I don't know if you know about this or not, but I didn't know about it until Dr. Kobinia told me about it, and I started reading a book, and I'm just in shock. So we're going to talk about glyphosate and how it's damaging our brains and the brains of our children. And then I'm going to propose solutions of how to get rid of the aluminum, and also how we can fight glyphosate. So let's start. First, let me talk about Slava's progress. So like I said, it's been about 6 months since our transplant, and first 2 months were just like, wow, we had a huge breakthrough with words, right, with speech, and his activity level, and his alertness, and it's still getting better and better. I wouldn't say it's like, wow, now he's speaking full sentences. No, that hasn't happened yet. He's perfecting some of the words. He's trying to say some new words. He's pretty much repeating anything you tell him. Hey, Slava, say this, and he's like, even if it's not anything profound or vivid, he's pronouncing and trying to repeat the number of syllables and the intonation. So yesterday in therapy, he said airplane, airplane, airplane. Say, Slava, say thank you. Sometimes he'll just say and it's thank you, but he's also doing the signs for the words that he knows the signs for. But pretty much anything you tell him, he's trying to repeat. Let's go home, home, and so it's not really, obvious. the sounds, but he's working on it. He's really good with E, like green, please. He's still working on, he's still, doing, perfecting those words. He's saying more and more, the word more and more clearly. And sometimes he'll say something, and it's only one time he said a word, and then he won't repeat it again. So sometimes the words are slipping through. And just for you to know, this did not happen before the stem cell transplant. So it's not, like I said, it's not like, wow, he's speaking full sentences. Honestly, maybe I'm a little bit disappointed at the, how subtle the progress is. It's not anything like major, but in comparison with how he did before the stem cell transplant, I think that we have a lot of progress, So I wrote a list over there of new things that have happened for the last 2 or 3 months since I haven't released anything. Probably 2 months, right? Since I haven't released a video. So I promise I have videos on some of these activities that he's doing now, and I'm going to post them. I have more time now. I'm not working ambulance anymore. I'm just doing my legal nurse consulting business full time. So I have more time now, and thank God I have more time with Slav at home, and it's more like life work balance. Anyway, so I promise I will be on here more to update you on how he's doing and encourage everybody. So again, I'm not promising any unrealistic expectations, and honestly I think that we will consider another stem cell transplant. We're going to see how he's doing in the year, and if we're able to repay my parents back the 12,000 euros that we had to borrow for this, well, actually 9,000 that we had to borrow for this, because we paid ourselves a little bit for this procedure. So if we have the money next year, we're probably going to do another one. Dr. Kobinia actually recommended that some kids might need repeat treatments. I wish we could do hyperbaric oxygen therapy, because I know that would produce free-floating stem cells in the body and oxygenate the brain and decrease that inflammation in the brain that causes autism. That's part of the problem, but he can't blow out yet. So when he learns how to blow out to decrease the pressure in the brain, in the head, from the high pressure in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, then we're going to try to do some sessions. But it's a lot of dedication too, because you'll have to do at least, it's an hour and a half session. And I think you'll have to do at least 3 times a week, if not more. I think the doctors for autistic kids, they recommend more sessions almost every day. And it's like full-time job, really, sitting there with the kid. Plus, he can't take his iPad in there, and it's going to be a big fit. So it's going to be difficult. So right now, stem cell transplant is the better suited solution for us. But anyway, so the new stuff that he's doing right now. So he started functionally play. Like before, all he does, I mean, he still likes to throw. Don't take me wrong. He likes to throw. He likes the objects falling and tumbling, and then especially like sitting on top of the stairs, he throws them down, and he likes to see them fall and that sound of tumbling. But he started functionally play. Our neighbor bought him this pretend pizza, like a pizza dough with ingredients set. And so I'll post the video, you'll see for yourself how he's putting ingredients on the pizza and actually functionally playing. That has not happened before. He also started tracing over the letters and the numbers, and I have a video on that, how he's like scribbling, and then all of a sudden he's starting to trace over the letters. So, and that's getting better and better. He learned how to put his shoes on. So the shoes are easy. It's not the tennis shoes with the Velcro. They just kind of slip-on shoes, but with the back, where he has to hold the back to put the foot in. So that hadn't happened before. This is a recent progress that happened. I also have a video on that. And then he learned how to spit the water out. So still, when we brush teeth, he doesn't get it. I'm like, spit, and he goes, He's just playing like with his head, like he's imitating what I'm doing, but he's not spitting. But when we're at the pool, he'll go to the jacuzzi and he'll put the water in the mouth, and he'll go to the pool and spit it out, or vice versa. And so he'll learn how to spit. So this is a big new progress for us, because he didn't know how to spit before. So then he also very, very vividly says niet. So instead of no, he doesn't say no. He likes niet better. Anyway, he learned how to say niet when he's responding, consciously responding to questions. You know, he doesn't say no, he says niet. He's trying to say bread. He's saying it doesn't really sound like bread, but when he says it, I know he means bread. So he's, you know, like that. So, you know, like, that's how it sounds, kind of thing. So approximations, he does word approximations. So a lot of the words approximations, actually, and even speech therapist yesterday, she, you know, like I told you, she said that he almost said airplane. When she pointed to an airplane, he said airplane, like this, okay? And that's like huge, first time. And like I said, repeating a lot of words, and he's more alert. And he's, you know, been very, very verbal, And that was, you know, this is a huge new development after the stem cell transplant. This did not happen before. Like I said, before the transplant, he didn't even babble. He only said, like I told you in a previous video, he only said mama. He only said up, mama. It wasn't mama, like to call me. It was just mama, 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 mama. And then up, and then he said night, night, and that's it. But he wouldn't respond. He wouldn't repeat words. He wasn't babbling. So he, you know, so we have major, you know, progress with that. So, anyway, so that's Slava's progress, as I promised. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about, as I promised, is Dr. Kobinia's recommendations regarding supplements and vitamins. So we'll start with Exaxanthin, right? Did I say it right? Exaxanthin, right? Ooh, he's yelling downstairs. I don't know if you can hear that. We have a respite worker that's with him right now. I will have a new girl that's working with him. But anyway, Exaxanthin. So it's an antioxidant. Helps immune system support. It decreases inflammation and supports cognitive health. Okay, so Dr. Kobinia recommended clinical grade, half a capsule per day. So, and he gave it to us. He gave us all of these supplements, as a matter of fact. Unfortunately, when I add them to the juice, he can taste them, and so he wouldn't drink the juice. So I've been having difficulty trying to give all these supplements to him, unfortunately. So if you guys have any ideas how I can dilute them where he doesn't taste them, please put that in comments. Oh, speaking of comments, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, and share with other people. Like I said, this video, I know you're going to find this video helpful, and I know this is going to be an eye-opener and a life changer for a lot of other people. So please, let's help spread this video. Not for my fame, gosh, please. I don't like all of this. I don't like talking on camera. Trust me. So I'm doing this to help other people, to help you guys, to help other parents with autistic kids, and to help those parents who are considering another child. So algorithms of YouTube work that way, where you like a video, where you share a video, where you comment. It triggers this algorithm where YouTube, you know, sees that this video is helpful, and it starts offering it to other viewers. All right, so let's help spread this video, spread this news about all of these remedies and about all these toxins that I'm going to talk about. So anyway, so Exaxanthin, okay, clinical grade, half a capsule per day. Then he also recommended Boswellia. I don't know if you know about Boswellia. Boswellia is it's actually an herb, ancient herb, that's used as an incense, I believe, in Catholic Church. But actually it has a lot of awesome properties. Look, so I took a screenshot. It treats arthritis, helps with asthma, treats colitis, inflammation of the colon, helps with inflammation, swelling, and redness, help reduce fluid cerebral edema, brain swelling, after radiotherapy in patients with brain tumors. I had no idea. And helps reduce skin damage due to radiotherapy in breast cancer patients. So, anyway, so it's an anti-inflammatory agent, obviously very ancient one, and been used for generations. So he's recommending 1 capsule per day, and he actually developed his own formula. It's in German. And we still have it because, like I said, it comes in capsules, and I would put it in a juice, but once it dilutes, it's bitter. And so Slava wouldn't take the exentan. I can't say this word, I'm sorry. Exentan. And the boswellia, we've had difficulty taking both of those because exentan is like red, like really burgundy. So when you put in the drink, it really colors it too. So I've had really hard time. I just wish somebody would come up with some kind of formula where they can put all of this minerals, vitamins, all the supplements that our kids need, and make some kind of formula, some kind of drink out of them all together that tastes good. Maybe you can drink it as a drink. Maybe you can add it in a juice. But I don't know. It's hard. Also, let's see. Dr. Kobinia came up with his own detox syrup. I didn't question what's in it. It was green stuff. So I got 2 bottles of it. It's his own formula. It says here, a special recipe according to Dr. Kobinia. 1 teaspoon 2 times per day. And we started it right after the stem cell transplant. And it actually, I don't know, maybe that's why we had such great breakthrough with Slava, when he was just like, just saying words left and right when we first did the transplant, because stem cells don't even really start working until 4 weeks plus after the transplant. So I don't know, but we had a huge breakthrough the first even couple weeks. So because we were drinking this detox solution, and then we ran out. I don't know why we only got 2. Obviously I'm not going to go to Vienna for a while, and I don't know if they can mail it to me. I'll have to find out. But anyway, and that actually tasted pretty good. So I trust this doctor, as you can hear in my lecture before. So I didn't really question what's in it. Everything written on the bottle is in German. So, but this is a doctor with a lot of experience. He's a cardiovascular surgeon, and been doing stem cell transplants for the last 12-13 years. So wrote a lot of research articles and in the peer-reviewed magazines, and did a lot of research, and he's very very educated, and so I trust him. So anyway, but you guys, I'm sure we can, you can ask what's in this formula, and he'll tell you. So also he recommended lecithin. It's also an herb. And what it does is, here, I took a screenshot of it. It treats gallbladder disease, ulcerative colitis, and helps liver disease, helps people with liver disease in the long term for internal nutrition. It helps with fat digestion, breastfeeding. Oh, yeah, I remember about this stuff. It's recommended for breastfeeding. It increases the milk production. Lecithin can help prevent milk duct blockages by reducing the viscosity of breast milk, making it easier to pass through the ducts. Oh, okay. I thought it actually helped with the breast milk production, but it looks like it helps prevent the duct blockages. But another important function why he prescribes it to autistic kids is cognitive function. So lecithin contains choline, which is important for nervous system function and cellular health. Some studies suggest that lecithin may improve cognitive function and help with neurological disorders and dementia. So anyway, but like I said, none of this stuff I have been able to give him except for the solution, for the detox solution for the first 2 months. Axanthin, like I said, it's red and it's bitter, and so is boswellia. Lecithin, he didn't give it to us. I need to buy it, and I haven't bought it yet. Anyway, so that's on my to-do list as well. So all of this additives, that I need to add to his juice and somehow give it to him. And if you guys have, like I said, if you guys have any suggestions of how to give him, please comment below. I appreciate it. All right, so next the next important thing I was going to talk to you about is the first thing that got Dr. Kobinia, even before we even went for a stem cell transplant, when I first had my Zoom conference with him to discuss the transplant, he asked me if I heard about this book. It's called Toxic Legacy. It's written by MIT scientist Stephanie Seneff, and it's about glyphosate. It says how the weed killer glyphosate is destroying our health and the environment. So this is the book that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to discuss a little bit, and I'm going to read to you some excerpts from it about this poison glyphosate that's in the Roundup, that weed killer, that's actually still sitting on the shelf at Costco. I went to Costco just the other day, and it was sitting on the shelf, and I couldn't believe my eyes, because there's ongoing legislation going in many states against Roundup, against the manufacturer of Roundup, Monsanto, I believe it's called. And they're still selling it. So anyway, it's a long story, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. And then another book that Dr. Kobinia recommended is called Imagine You Were an Aluminum Atom. And it's by PhD Professor Christopher Exley I think he's a professor of inorganic chemistry at Keele University in England. And it talks about aluminum and its toxic effects on the brain and neurological damage that it causes, and how we get exposed to aluminum and how to get rid of aluminum. So we're going to talk about that as well. So, and like I said, that was an eye-opener for me. All of these things. Okay, so let's start with aluminum, shall we? All right. So, like I said, this doctor has been studying aluminum for many, many years. So I'm going to jump straight to chapter 10. I'm going to read to you a little bit from this book, because it'll be better than me trying to describe it. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to break up this session in two. That way you don't get overwhelmed. So we'll talk about aluminum right now, and then we can talk about glyphosate and Roundup in the second part of the video. All right? So I'm just going to read to you some excerpts from the book. All right, so chapter 10, Pregnancy and Why Infant Exposure to Aluminum is a Special Case. So it says reliable and robust scientific research relating to how aluminum affects human reproduction remains scarce. However, there are sufficient indications that across scientific literature to suggest its effects are more widespread than currently acknowledged. A limited but significant body of research documents observations such as high concentrations of aluminum in human placental tissue and even in the tissues of miscarried fetuses. The developing baby shares the mother's body burden of aluminum. There's published science that unequivocally equates the aluminum content of blood serum in pregnancy with congenital defects in the fetus. While these studies are relatively rare, they tell a consistent and worrying story of exposure to aluminum. So I didn't even know, honestly. I never thought about aluminum. I never thought about how much we're actually exposed to aluminum and how much we're consuming it. So now I'm reading this and I'm in shock. So obviously, okay, let me I'm gonna keep reading, okay? So let's see. So an infant is an ideal model organism for human studies on intoxication by aluminum. Ideal because infants, above all other independent human forms, are predisposed to take up aluminum into the body and retain it in the tissues. Several critical physiological factors contribute for such predisposition. The infant gut is premature in that it's still developing, and It is more permeable. Permeable means it absorbs things easier. So permeable to aluminum in the diet. Upon aluminum entering the blood, the infant kidney is also far from being functionally complete, and so its capacity to remove aluminum from the blood is lower. Subsequently, when high concentrations of aluminum circulating in the blood come into contact with significantly underdeveloped blood-brain barrier. I talked about the blood-brain barrier. It's a tongue twister. I talked about it in my previous lecture. It's a barrier in the brain that's protecting the brain from toxic substances entering the brain. So, but it's underdeveloped in the infants. So aluminum comes into contact with significantly underdeveloped blood-brain barrier. The inevitable consequence is higher uptake of aluminum into the brain tissue. Put each of these susceptibility factors together with the knowledge that an infant's capacity to excrete aluminum in urine and sweat is also not fully developed, and you have the ideal as the model for aluminum intoxication, or nightmare as a model of infant health scenario of increased uptake concomitant, sorry, it's a hard word to say as well for me. Some words are hard to say for me. Concomitant with reduced excretion of aluminum. So, breast milk is a source of aluminum, and how much aluminum is in the breast milk will depend upon a mother's exposure to aluminum during lactation, as well as simply a mother's overall body burden of aluminum. The good news is that in general, the aluminum content of breast milk is low, at least in comparison to only other alternative, infant formula. Did you guys know that there's a lot of aluminum infant formula? I just found out about it when I was reading this book the other day. And like I said, I didn't read this whole book, and I didn't read the other book fully because I really didn't have time. But as much as I read, I am just in shock. And this is an eye opener, and it should be for all of us. So let's keep reading. All infant formulas tested in our laboratory are contaminated with aluminum, and many are heavily contaminated with aluminum. For example, we are inadvertently feeding our infants milk formula that contains up to 10 times the aluminum concentration allowed in drinking water under European Union legislation. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? All infant formulas contain too much aluminum. Soy-based formulas are some of the worst, while the highest levels of contamination are reserved for many of the formulas available on prescription for premature infants, term infants struggling to gain weight, and term infants with significant allergies and intolerances. Crazy. Infant formula manufacturers have known about the issue of product contamination by aluminum for decades and have chosen to ignore the problem that they are allowed to ignore due to inaction by organizations such as EFSA and FDA, which are charged with the responsibility of protecting the public from poisons in the food they eat. That's crazy. Okay, let's keep reading. So he said, while I write these words about the infant exposure to aluminum in the diet, I can almost feel the pressure from many readers asking, what about aluminum in the vaccines? Is there a more contentious subject in human health today than the safety of the vaccines? So, right? Okay, so because we all hear this, vaccines are bad, vaccines are causing autism, and now you're going to find out that it's really not vaccines. It's the aluminum in the vaccines. All right, so unique vulnerability of infants to aluminum magnifies their predisposition to aluminum administered as an adjuvant in vaccines. I'm sorry, Slava's being a little bit loud here. Slava, go downstairs. So aluminum administered as an adjuvant in vaccines. I didn't know what adjuvant meant until just recently. I just looked it up. Adjuvant is a substance that enhances the body's immune response to an antigen. Okay? So let's keep reading because I think the book is going to explain a lot better than I can. So the aluminum content of pediatric vaccines is absurdly high in a significant and a significant cause for concern. Recall that vaccines requiring an aluminum adjuvant do not work in the absence of the adjuvant. Okay? The antigen, which is the vaccine, is not by itself sufficiently antigenic to initiate any form of effective immune response or elicit the required antibody response. Make sense? So like if you give the vaccine by itself without the aluminum, it's not gonna initiate the immune response and the antibody response to produce antibodies against the disease. So that's why they add the aluminum to elicit the immune response. And so here it's crazy. He's saying they increase the amount of aluminum adjuvant added to the vaccine until eventually an effective antibody titer is achieved. So they keep adding more and more, and they test it for antibodies and for the titers, and that's when they stop, when they achieve the appropriate response, enough antibody titer, right? So that is the aluminum adjuvant. Okay, I'm sorry, let me just start from the beginning of the sentence. There is no requirement to ask, sorry, my bad. So in spite of the obvious, it is the aluminum adjuvant and not the vaccine per se that is immunoreactive. The adjuvant is considered as being benign in the process of development of the vaccine. So aluminum is considered benign, supposedly. There's no requirement in law to test the safety of the aluminum adjuvant alone, and the safety of the whole vaccine is tested, nominally at least, against either the aluminum adjuvant or another vaccine that includes the aluminum adjuvant. Surely this is the dirty little secret of vaccinology. When is the vaccine not a vaccine? When it doesn't contain an immunoreactive amount of aluminum adjuvant! Exclamation mark. Crazy. This is crazy. So I now only found out that the aluminum is being added into the vaccines from Dr. Kobinia. I didn't even know that. Because when we hear vaccines are bad, but I am a nurse and I know vaccines are not bad, and we need the vaccines to prevent the communicable diseases. They were extinguished a long time ago, many years ago, and now people were dying from them, and now we don't even have them anymore. But I had no idea that they add aluminum into the vaccines, and that's what the root of the problem is, the aluminum that's in the vaccines, not the vaccine itself. So let's see here. Infants' major exposure to aluminum is from multiple vaccinations received during the first months, sometimes days of their lives. That which I previously described herein is the intolerable scandal of the aluminum exposure through infant formulas is surpassed by exposure through vaccination. Of course, most infants are receiving both, that is, daily chronic exposure through formula feeding, right, and regular acute exposure through vaccinations. When aluminum is injected as an adjuvant in a vaccine, it is immediately inside the body. Thereafter, it can only remain within the body, or it can be excreted from the body, primarily in the urine and sweat. But as he mentioned before, infants have difficulty. Kidneys are not fully developed, and they don't sweat. So they can't excrete the extra aluminum, as adults can. All right, keep reading here. Unlike the majority of aluminum that enters the bloodstream via the gut, aluminum from a vaccine will not pass through the liver, our major organ of detoxification, before having access to other major organs such as the heart and the brain. Once again, returning to the thesis that the infant is an ideal laboratory model for aluminum intoxication, vaccination is the optimal route for exposure in such an ideal model. The infant is actually undergoing chronic, that is day-to-day, intoxication by aluminum through diet, for example, infant formula, and acute exposure to aluminum through vaccination. There we go, and there's a problem. Okay. Then I'm just reading you some experts, right, from different areas of this book, just to give you an idea of what this book is all about, and to give you a heads up about what's going on. All right, so he keeps on saying here, processed foods that replace milk products as primary sources of infant nutrition also contaminated with aluminum. Children's snacks and sweets are contaminated with aluminum. The use of aluminum flakes as coloring is rife in the food industry and certain colored sweets, especially the blue and purple ones, and replete with aluminum. Are replete with aluminum. I didn't know that. I had no idea. This is crazy. The only certainty that we have is that from before a child is born, it is exposed to aluminum in myriad of different ways, and that exposure continues from childhood into adolescence and into adulthood. It is logical, to my way of thinking, that the earlier that this exposure begins and continues, the greater the likelihood of aluminum-related disease, both immediately and later in life. And then later I will, he relates, and also Dr. Stephanie Seneff relates aluminum intoxication to later production of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's disease, all kinds of problems, and of course, obviously, autism. So this is aluminum. Okay, so this is the book. Okay, so this book is a must read. You can buy it on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. Get this book, read this book. I just read you a little bit from it. I hope this is an eye-opener for you, as it was for me. And I am just in shock, honestly. I had no idea. I had no idea how much aluminum I was consuming myself. Just drinking soda, I guess. I mean, aluminum is everywhere. Lotions that we use. It's just everywhere, and I had no idea. So kind of feel guilty because I guess I was a causative factor in my child developing autism. But also I was giving him formula as well. I didn't breastfeed for very long, maybe like 3 months, and I was giving him formula, and there we go. But anyway, so the next, we're going to talk about the remedies at the very end. So this was the aluminum. I want to talk about the glyphosate, about the toxicity of glyphosate, and it's a weed killer in Roundup. And I guess I can probably go ahead and do it now. But at the same time, I don't want to burden you with too long of a lecture. So maybe we'll just break it up in 2 videos. And I'm going to talk about the rest in the next video. Okay? All right. See you soon.